Oh, this one's funny. Coming up next, for the layman, it may be the most recognizable guitar riff ever. The famous guitarist who wrote it is with us today to tell us about it. He actually wrote it for his hero, but it was rejected, so he did it himself. He added a snarling stutter to its chorus, and it made it a classic, but it wasn't a hit when it was first released in 1982. Instead, it ramped up every year after that, becoming more and more prolific. In fact, it became so memorable, it was the signature song for every rebel or bad boy in films and TV shows. And then it became the most famous ringtone for years. All of us have used this. Coming up, the story of a riff and a stutter that became the stuff of legend and took an unknown guitarist who was the opening act for his heroes. And then he passed them up with this one. The story's next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists, the greatest songs of all time. Make sure to subscribe below to be a part of a community dedicated to the timeless music of the rock and roll era. Same kind of stuff you remember with MTV when they actually played music. So I'm excited to do another episode of our series Revelations, where featured artists go deep on their greatest songs and albums. Today we sit down with a legendary singer and guitarist who has forged his own path from the very beginning. He paid his dues, and he pushed through to claim his spot amongst the most influential guitarists of his time. And his signature song was one he wrote while he was on tour with the Stones. He wanted to emulate a perfectly catchy and memorable guitar riff like Keith Richards. He pulled it off in spades. Talking about George Thorogood and his classic 1982 song, Bad to the Bone. Bad to the bone. George Thorogood and the Destroyers' debut album contained a true classic that put him on the map right from the start. One bourbon, one scotch, one beer. One bourbon, one scotch, one beer. From there, he raised his profile, and by 1982, he composed Bad to the Bone. Coming up next, in our interview, he tells us what legend he tried to give the song to, and how he came up with his iconic stutter, why he wrote the song in the first place. He's a great guy, very funny. Let's talk about Bad to the Bone. It's not only a modern blues classic. I mean, it's become a rock and roll standard. Classic rock radio, pop radio. It was just a monster and in pop culture too. I mean, that brought the saying, even though it was said before the song came out, but that brought it into the popular culture, into the lexicon.
Not right away. It was just another song in the show. It wasn't until classic rock came around in the early 90s, that Bad to the Bone was one of the early songs of that era. So they were slotting Bad to the Bone right in there with Stairway to Heaven, Rockin' Me Baby, Jet Airliner, Jumpin' Jack Flash. So I have to admit, classic rock radio made it a classic.
On the day I was born, the nurses all gathered around.
Prior to that, when we were putting a song together, I wrote the song with Muddy Waters in mind. I wanted Muddy Waters to do it. And we submitted it to his people, and his manager got very offended and told our booking agent at the time, this is the biggest insult we've ever been handed. Muddy Waters will never record a blues song written by a white guy. And I said, that's bullshit. If Keith Richards or Eric Clapton had written that song, Muddy would have recorded it in a heartbeat. Am I wrong? But I'm a nobody from Delaware. Got it? So, and besides, we kept that song under wraps. We were on a 50-50 tour, and we didn't play it live. We sneaked it in rehearsals on occasionally. And I was backstage at the Superdome where we were going to play with the Neville Brothers and the Rolling Stones. And a man comes up to me and starts talking to me and says, are you writing any songs? And I said, well, I am starting to write songs. I didn't know who he was. And he said, well, if they're anything like Bone, you're going to have a great career. Oh, by the way, I'm David Geffen. I said, well, because at that time because Muddy Waters they were turning it down. I wanted Bo Diddley to do it, but they didn't have a record deal. So I said, after that, actually, we got the deal with EMI. They hired us because of that song.
Bad to the bone. Bad to the bone.
Like you said, it took some years, but it went to number 27 on the rock chart at the time. It wasn't a pop hit or on pop radio, but like you said, it over a 20 or 25 year period being played on classic rock radio all the time, also used in pop culture on movies and and the way that they use it, it just brought it into being one of those classic standards.
Let me tell you something, Professor. Things that are a prepositional phrase are going to last. What's a prepositional phrase? Well, Gone with the Wind, Born to be Wild. Prepositional phrases catch on with movies, books, songs. I always thought the movie Easy Rider, the movie title should have been of the movie Born to be Wild. I thought that would have made a better title for the movie, because some people can't even remember the name of the movie, but they remember the song.
That's right.
So later on, I said, well, what's going to be your follow-up? And I said, Born to be Bad. You know, I wanted, when I was thinking about that song, I wanted Steppenwolf to record it, and I wanted it to be a movie based on the life of Jerry Lee Lewis. That was the idea of that, which of course nobody went for. You know, I pitched it all over Hollywood. You know, got nothing but doors slammed in my face. You know, so as usual. So yeah, that was part of the thinking behind that. Something that's already there in our culture.
Well, the musicianship on the track is outstanding. Some explosive performances on that song. You performed the lead vocal that, you know, a lot have tried to emulate, and instantly recognizable lead guitar licks. I've read that you started writing it when you were on tour with the Rolling Stones. Tell me about that.
We were playing 50 states in 50 days, and that's when I was putting it together. And, you know, a lot of musicians will tell you, even Mick Jagger and Keith Richards said, being on the road is the best time to write. There's no distractions. You're alone most of the time. You're alone with your guitar in a hotel or whatever. You got also, your brain is full of all sorts of ideas, not always good ones, but it's a creative time.
I broke 1,000 hearts before I met you.
I said, listen, if I don't write it, somebody else will. It's that common. Because when it happened, it was like almost like, haven't I heard this somewhere before? It's like street slang. You know, it's like street lingo. So I knew if I hadn't have done it, somebody else would have.
Well, that staggered lick in the song's intro, that was similar, kind of fashioned after what the Stones did on like Honky Tonk Woman.
It's called a hook. That's why you put a hook into the song. That's you know, that's standard with song. Everybody wants the first licks of Day Tripper. That's a hook that you hear.
Start Me Up.
Yeah, as soon as you hear it. I remember hearing them doing Start Me Up live, and the reaction people have when they did it, and then there was a pause. And then I remember how they started Honky Tonk Women, there was a pause. And I was listening, I said, Georgie, if you don't go out and write something that grabs people like that does, 10 years from now, they're going to go, yeah, whatever happened to that Thorogood guy? Wasn't he good at playing Chuck Berry or something? I knew that you can only lean on that for so long. You know, you gotta have a tune. You gotta have a song. And I said, I want something that'll grab them right away. You know, and the Stones are geniuses on that. Every song they have is like that.
How did the riff first come to you? Were you just kind of sitting there and you're jamming?
No, I was trying to play Hoochie Coochie Man. I have a terrible ear for music.
Well, you know the Hoochie Coochie Man.
Whenever I try to play something note for note on it, I get it all wrong. So I was playing it wrong. But as Robert Lockwood once said, he said, you remind me of John Lee Hooker because you play wrong. That's why it sounds right. So when you hear me in the studio playing something, they'll go, well, he's trying to do them. I said, no, I'm trying as best I can. And, you know, and on my vocals, people say, oh, he's trying to sound like this. I go, no, that's me trying to sing like Beverly Sills or like Roger Daltrey.
No one knows what it's like to be the bad man.
And I thought, just sing like yourself, or you can't sing. You have singing. You're a gut bucket growling type. You have a growling type voice anyway. And one of the people I admire is look how far Tom Waits has gone.
You got to hold on.
You know, I remember when people putting a knock on Dylan, they said, yeah, but that voice, oh, it's so off. I said, his voice is beautiful because the words are beautiful. If they had put a beautiful tone to those lyrics that Bob Dylan wrote, the message wouldn't have been as strong.
That's exactly right.
And he sings Lay, Lady, Lay beautifully.
Lay, lady, lay. Lay across my big breast.
He's singing it as a common person. And people can relate to that more, you know, at least I can.
I long to see you in the morning light.
Well, Bo Diddley, of course, had influence on it with I'm the Man, the harmonica riff on that.
Now I'm a man, May 21.
Also an influence on Bad to the Bone.
Well, it's funny because Bo Diddley told me when he did I'm a Man, his heroes were Muddy Waters and Howling Wolf. And we talked together. I said, you know, Bo, I don't know. We were together. I said, I don't know why they keep bringing me to these blues festivals. I can't play blues. And he said, neither can I.
That's great.
So our non-talent lifted us to greater heights than we ever dreamed of.
I love it.
I'm here to tell you, honey, that I'm bad to the bone.
Well, on the recording of Bad to the Bone, you hired Ian Stewart, the sideman for the Rolling Stones, on piano. He was brilliant on that.
The nurses all gather round, and they gazed in wide wonder.
He's brilliant.
Well, and the Destroyers killed it on that. Hank Hurricane Carter on sax. Man, that sax.
Bad to the bone. Bad.
Very talented guy. Very talented. Maybe the most talented musician I've ever played with or ever known. He's also a great guitar player and a great bass player and a great piano player. I mean, he just could do it all. And a great singer. I mean, he was just a musical genius. That's all there is to it.
Well, you'd stated in the past that you were far too serious before Hank joined the Destroyers. And Hank made things more fun for you in the band, it sounds like.
He did. He took a lot off of me because, you know, when you're a trio, there's only so much you can do. You get a little repetitious, you see. And I was like that. And I said, I'm only going to take it so far with this 3-piece thing I got. And I was thinking about things. I had ideas, and said, well, I want to play rhythm. I should play rhythm guitar and slide guitar. And all the other blues bands had a harmonica player. And I said, Magic Dick has blown the top off of harmonica players once and for all. He was rock's first harmonica player, first and foremost rock harmonica player. So I said, no, I want a saxophone player. You know, I mean, look at some of the great sax solos of all time. Lucille. It's just got a piercing thing to it that, you know, people remember if you have the right guy, and Hank was the right guy.
Well, and the parts he created for Bad to the Bone, you know, that very seductive call and response to your guitar riffs, that made the song something special.
Could have been an okay song, but it would have been repetitious. We needed something to blast off. You know, when that solo stick and he hits that note, that's the peak of our show. What can I say?
Well, when you were recording the vocal, were there any kind of nuances or improvised things that happened there when you were doing the stutter did that just kind of come as you were recording it, or was it planned before that?
No, I had planned on that because I said every 10 years, rock and roll, every 10 years, it's wide open to do something that's already been done. Okay. In 1964 and 65, Roger Daltrey did his stutter.
Trying to cause a big sensation.
Then there was a band in the 70s, but baby, ain't got nothing yet.
Bachman Turner Overdrive, yep.
So I said every 10 years, it's wide open to do something like that. Actually, I got a great review. A guy wrote a review. I don't know if you meant. He said, the greatest stutter since my generation. I went, damn, I'm in. You can't beat that, you know. But that was intentional.
Music video, too. This is, you know, MTV's coming in. Artists now have to do music video. That was an interesting time. But throughout the video, you're playing a game of pool with Bo Diddley. I mean, it doesn't get cooler than that.
I kind of have a sour feeling about that video. Yeah. Yeah, we got Bo Diddley to do it. And when we did it, the guy that directed it was a big movie fan, so he directed it like a movie, more than a music MTV video. He directed it like a mini movie. Willie Mosconi was Mr. Big, Bo Diddley was Bad Bo, and I played the part of the kid. Okay, it was like a Western like that. Okay, so once it got done, I said, I'm in. Hollywood's going to call. James Coburn's going to retire someday. I could be the next Lee Marvin. Where's the phone call? So what happens? I don't get a part in a movie, but Bo Diddley gets a part in Trading Places.
Burnt my fingers, man.
Hollywood called him and not me. I said, wait a minute. I made the video so I could go to Hollywood. How do you like that? Bo did a great job anyway in the movie.
Is he a pretty good pool player in real life, Bo?
I don't know. I know I'm not. That I can't.
Well, Bad to the Bone, like I said, been used in so many movies. I mean, just a few examples. Christine in '83, The Color of Money, which was kind of perfect for it there. The first Lethal Weapon. What about Terminator 2? What did you think about that?
Oh, what am I going to do? You think I'm going to turn down a chance, have a movie in the biggest movie star in the world at that time, Arnold? Oh, you think I might be stupid, but I'm not crazy.
Well, there's some cool covers too. Molly Hatchet did it. Did you hear their version?
On the day I was born, nurses all got around.
So you're saying they did a Hatchet version of it? No pun intended.
Bad to the bone.
Like I said before, if we hadn't have done it, somebody else would have. It was just waiting there for somebody to do it. So I figured it might as well be me.
Well, it's tailor-made for the stadiums too. Monster truck drivers, MMA fighters. That's an obvious thing you're going to use for the Bad to the Bone.
Well, they use a lot of other songs. I'm sure they use a lot of other songs too. When you got a riff, it gets people's attention, like dun 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 dun. All of a sudden your ears perk up, And so I think it's that riff just to get people's attention. Rather, they don't need to play the whole song. And it's also another thing. It's the ultimate male fantasy. Every guy in the '60s wanted to be Steve McQueen. Every guy in the '60s wanted to be James Bond. But those are Hollywood people. But still, that's the ultimate regular guy like me and Jeff that we all look at. I remember going to see West Side Story, and I was sitting there with the girls, and they were crying, and I was crying too. And they said, "Boy, Georgie's very sensitive about this. What's the matter?" And I pointed to Bernardo, the Academy Award winner, George Chakiris, who played Bernardo. And I was crying. I said, "Because I was like him." In other words, Bo Diddley and I have in common is we want to be bad. That's it. That's the ultimate thing with all guys. That's just basically Bad to the Bone is my insecurity and my fantasy all in one song.
Make sure to leave us a comment about this classic blues hit, this great guitar riff. What are your memories of the song, the stories? What else should we cover here on Professor Rock? What other interviews would you like to see us do? Let us know. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our community. We do this every single day, reminisce about the soundtrack of our lives. Till next time, 3 chords.